Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and I'm here today to do a side-by-side comparison between a deck put out by Game Crafters and Marco Benedetti, the Charles VI Tarot, which is really in all rights, now referenced as the Estensi Tarot, and the Lo Scarabeo deck, named Golden Tarot of the Renaissance. And it was facilitated in part by Giordano Berti, who is renowned for for publishing some really beautiful historic Italian decks. So I figured I'd do a side-by-side comparing these two decks. Now, of course, the Lo Scarabeo is high in the gloss, not gloss, the gold leaf, which I presume is how they were probably originally created, if they were done for the Estensi court in Ferrara. And of course, with the Game Crafters publication, we have limitations, so we'll never get the gold leaf, that we would get, in a mass-produced deck by a, publishing house who can accommodate it. You'll notice also that the sizes are quite different. I don't know if Marco created the deck in the true size, although we do have huge borders here. If you'll notice, the borders are pretty big, so they're bigger than what appear to be the actual cards anyway. The Fool is one of the original cards from the Estensi deck that still exists. So this card is not a recreation. Now, the Magician no longer exists with the Estensi deck or the Charles VI deck, and so Marco chose this representation to represent the Magician. Neither does the Pope, the female Pope. This is his, and there was nothing to assist in understanding what we're looking at, and so this does not look to be, something that Marco created. So it appears as though it's based on, or he borrowed this image from another tarot deck of the time. And the same for the Empress. She looks familiar. She looks like she does belong in the Estensi deck, but I know that of the 14 cards that still exist from the Estensi, the Empress was not one of them. And then when we get to the Pope, the Emperor, we know the Emperor still existed, so. And we know that the Pope still existed in the deck. And the Lover, or Lover's card, as it is in this deck, is one of the extant cards from the Estensi deck. Now, the Chariot is also a card that exists, but you'll notice that in the Lo Scarabeo, for whatever reasons, they reversed the facial direction. Maybe the face had to be recreated. I don't know. Although Marco's, I can't tell if the face is a recreation or not. I guess it looks a little, but I don't know. I can't speak. Justice. So in the Lo Scarabeo, you see that they took liberties with the dress. Maybe I like this one though. I like this gown better. And the Hermit with the hourglass. I always prefer a hermit with an hourglass. And I don't mind if he's also carrying a lantern. But you don't see them except for in the very early Italian decks. Okay, now the Wheel of Fortune no longer exists in the Estensi. And so you can see here that Benedetti, took some liberties in recreating the wheel. And it isn't, it isn't real in keeping with the flavor of the deck, So a little bit that it's a little bit of an irritation. However, you can tell right away that it's not, an authentic, card. And what you can't pick up in with my video very well is that the border of the cards that Benedetti worked on to replace the missing cards is white, whereas the authentic cards that still remain have a much creamier border. And you'll be able to see this better in person. So here we have Fortitude, and the Hanged Man, and Death. I'm really thrilled that Death, was a card that survived in the Estensi, because you don't see it, in the source of decks. Here we have Fortitude. And again, the size is different, and you don't have the benefit of, pretty gold leaf. There's no gold leaf. And the Game Crafter, because it has limitations. Oh, there's no devil card in the Estensi. So this is a Marco's representation. And again, it has the white border rather than the cream. So it's not authentic. And we have the Tower, which is authentic. The Star, which is one that was missing in the Estensi. And this is another of Marco's recreations, again with the white border rather than the cream. Kind of cartoony, right? And then the Moon. The Sun. Judgment. And the World. Now, Benedetti in his Game Crafter deck does include several other trump cards from, I presume, contemporary decks. I didn't go through all my personal decks to see where they came from. I didn't reference all my decks. But if I were to look through my Italian decks, I'd probably find their counterparts. There was no explanation in the box about where these came from. But I imagine that if you'd rather use these to, or you could, I'm thinking, though, that the Benedetti box is better for reference. You know, like here's clearly the Hermit with an hourglass, another Hermit with hourglass, another Temperance. A star card, which I believe was missing from the Estensi. So you could use this rather than the one he had, which, let's see, the one he had here. Here's the one that Benedetti recreated. So if I were to use this deck for divination, I would replace this card with this one for sure. Here's another moon card, an alternate. And I'm not sure which one this is. I'm presuming it's another sun, you know, because this is the sun, obviously. But, you know, this character sitting in a barrel reminds me of a hermit, you know. So in a way, I'm not sure if it's the hermit or a representation of the sun. But I'm guessing the sun. And then 2 more versions of the world from I'm not sure which sources. And then this one, I am not sure what this image is, where it's from. I didn't do my homework before I began this video, so I do apologize for that. But it's a young man on a stag with some type of tool in his hand. Now, as far as the pips go, there's no point in comparing them to the Lo Scarabeo, because the Lo Scarabeo used other images from painted on walls in the Estensi court or in the walls in Ferrara, but they weren't per se for tarot, and they were also, the Lo Scarabeo images were chosen to fit a Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, you know. So Benedetti, what he did is he created, you know, ace to king using either, you know, miscellaneous decks. I'm not sure. There was no explanation in the box, so I don't know exactly what he did or if he recreated the suits himself to fit. But there's a certain amount of incongruity. Like, you know, like here's the ace. Here's the 2. And then all of a sudden we have, you know, all the rest are like, have this beautiful blue floral background. So as far as using it for, and then here we go back to like having some random ancient card, or at least that's how it looks, you know. And then we go to a nice neat, so I'm not sure what sources Marco pulled the pips from. And then we have a page, which appear authentic, a knight, which appear authentic, the queen, and then 2 kings, I presume. And the court cards have the cream, so they're authentic to either what was left of the Estensi or another, you know, other old decks. And all of these other cards have white borders, which means they were, I presume, recreated for the purpose of the deck, you know, to give it a complete deck. And the same is true with the batons, the swords and batons and cups. Here we have Ace of Swords, 2, all white borders. So, you know, if I don't, and then I love, and I don't know where I've seen this before, my mind is not as sharp this morning as it could be, but where you have, if in the event of odd cards, you have one side with an even number and then the opposite side having, you know, a third, rather than having two symmetrically with the third centered in the middle, if you know what I'm saying. So I kind of like this design, and I know I've seen it somewhere, but I don't remember where. And again, 3 on one side, 2 on this. I like that. These pips are lovely. I like these pips a lot. If I were consistent, I'd have it this way. And then again, the core cards are cream rather than white bordered. So they're sourced either from the Estensi deck itself or from a contemporary deck of the time. I'll say Estensi because the Estensi, you know, seems to like that scalloped flourish. And then the suit of batons. I apologize for this. Which is very similar to the Ace of Swords. We have the Ace of Batons. Now here, rather than having 2 to one side and 1 to the other, we have what we're more accustomed to seeing. The arrangement more accustomed to what we're used to seeing. Yeah, the pips are real nice. Now remember, it's Game Crafter, so there's limitations to the quality of the cardstock, for sure. And you're not going to get the, you know, beautiful gold leaf that you're accustomed to if you go to a, you know, a private publishing house, or even Lo Scarabeo, who can handle gold leaf and stuff like that. But, you know, I didn't pay an awful lot for the deck. I paid under $40. I got it uber fast. Marco Benedetti's excellent at getting it quick. So there's that as a perk. And, you know, I think I probably won't use this deck for divination. And if I did, I would be very selective about the cards, you know, obviously, that I would choose in place of, you know, whatever cards. And I think I don't like the, you know, the white, you know, being present, you know, on the borders with cream. So for that reason, you know, I'm not sure that I would use it for divination, but I certainly will use it to investigate, you know, where the sources were. Maybe I'll do another video. Here we have the Ace of Cups. Lovely. And 2. But I really do like the pips in this deck, as well as the trump cards, of course. The only trump cards I'm not real crazy about are the ones that were obviously recreated. And it's a large deck. You know, the cards are biggish. You need, you know, a pretty big space for, say, 10 cards or more. Again, the pips are weight bordered as compared to the court cards, which I believe are from the Estensi deck. So I'm not sure if any of the court cards were recreated. They don't look like they were. So there we have it. You know, if you're looking to get a historic deck with a few card options, the Charles VI Tarot by Marco Benedetti is not a bad option. As I said, you know, you can get it at Game Crafters for under $40, and it arrives extremely quickly, real fast. So I just thought I'd put this out there, and I'm looking forward to, I have a few decks by Marco. He's done the Rosenwald, which I have, and I think the Budapest. I'm not positive. I have a couple that, you know, one or both of those decks that he put out, and I also am getting one of his decks that he, you know, that he created himself. It's coming in the mail within a day or two. So I'm not dismissing this possibility at all. I mean, I think it's a wonderful option if you're looking to have, you know, if you're looking to have it, if you're interested in the history and you're interested in research and you're interested in the Estensi Tarot, by all means, get this, because you'll see, you'll clearly be able to recognize what has been added by Marco and what is authentic. But if if you're interested in having, you know, larger cards to look at than these smaller versions, which have also been cleaned up, you know, this has been cleaned up, whereas Marco's, I think, is more in keeping with how it actually appeared, minus the embellishment of gold, right? I mean, I got it definitely from a researcher's point of view and a, you know, person from that perspective. But at any rate, I hope this has been insightful to you. I'm sorry that I'm not so chipper today. I'm suffering greatly with a lot of pain. So I do apologize for not being real enthusiastic, but I'm more enthusiastic than I seem because I am in pain. Anyway, until next time, friends, stay well. Peace.